right. Hey, thank you guys so much for tuning in to yet another exciting episode of You Didn't Get the Memo. I'm your host, Gloria Bailey Ray. And as always, I strive to provide you, the viewer, with relevant, factual, mainstream information to help you be informed and to make informed decisions. After all, this is what the show is really and truly all about. Now, I want to first of all welcome all of you that are new to the show and just remind you if you have a question, if you have a comment, you can place it over in the comment section. We'll do our very, very best to get to you or to respond to you. All right. So, for those viewers that are new, I want to say thank you guys so much for tuning in. I love it. I'm humble and honored that you continue to stay in here and support with me. Today, my guest is Mr. Eric Range, who is the owner of Hemp and Fork from Orlando, Florida. Now, you guys hear me say, I'm all over. We're all over the world. So, look, got this dope brother that's in here from Florida. So, I'm going to be talking with Eric about hemp hearts and the numerous benefits that can be derived from eating or cooking hemp hearts. Let me just tell you this, his knowledge is empowering, it's informational, it's transformational. So I want to welcome to the show, Eric. Thank you so much for joining me today for this episode of You Didn't Get the Memo.
Yes, man. Thank you for having me, Gloria. It's definitely a pleasure and an honor, and I'm looking forward to the conversation.
Yeah, I have been intrigued. I've been all over your website. The more I learn about hemp hearts and the benefits to us as human beings, I just felt that, look, I just got to have you on the show. We just got to talk about it. We got to do some education, right?
That's
We have
right.
to educate people because there is so much out there, and people are just listening to things that not been tried and true, not studied, not aware, and so wanting to dispel a lot of the concerns that people may have about hemp hearts. But before we even jump into that, I always like to kind of level set and tell people, my guests, tell the viewers a little bit about your backstory. Who are you? How did you even get into this? Because I mean, my head was like this as I was listening to you. So I'll let you jump in there and tell us your backstory.
Yeah, I'll try to keep it brief because it can be a quite lengthy story. But I prior to getting into this industry, I actually come from a background in higher education. So previously and before that, mental health. So previously, I've worked in the mental health field. I've worked in higher education at pretty large schools in the country, helping to get underprivileged kids into high school, get them into college and through college, and so. My background has always been about, working with folks from underprivileged areas. And then when I left the university setting, I went into the engineering field or environmental engineering field, doing community engagement work for that environmental company. Again, working with individuals in low income areas. Whenever we had projects, we would go in. I would, identify youth in the area, provide training for them, give them on the job training and so on. So that was my background. Most of what I have done in my life is, truly to help someone else and to help others, help my community. But in 2015, I decided to take a little bit of a different approach. I actually, my wife and I took a trip to Colorado on a ski trip, and we got to, see up close and personal what was happening uh, sort of as a grand experiment in our country with this plant called cannabis. We were now seeing a state for, one of the first states in the country to legalize for adult use, meaning people who, were 21 and consenting adults would be able to go in and, purchase products and use those products. And so after seeing that up close and personal, we came back and we decided we wanted to figure out what way we can get into that industry. And about a month later, I started my first business in the space called Art 420, using fine art to challenge the stereotypes about cannabis users, and using it as a platform to introduce people who have never had an experience with cannabis to the plant, to patients, to doctors, scientists, so that they can break down those stereotypes and really and truly learn. So again, going back to always being an educator, it kind of leads into even the business now, getting into the hemp space. I recently became a hemp cultivator in the state of Florida where I live, last year in 2020 during the pandemic, if you can
Okay.
imagine. But I have really, really enjoyed, uh, opportunity to work on various different things, in particular with the nonprofit Minorities for Medical Marijuana as well. So I've just been afforded a lot of different experience to help people, and Hemp and Fork was my opportunity to help myself as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And the thing, let me just say this to the viewers: the things that I think most of the guests appreciate about this show is the opportunity to highlight, brothers and sisters, brown brothers and sisters, my black and brown brothers and sisters who are doing things all around the country and things that people wouldn't even be aware of. And that was, I was so intrigued by your comments about you weren't looking at getting into the industry from the perspective of, oh, let's get high, let's get loaded, let's get toe up all the time. You were looking at it from the beneficial effects of how you could actually help people. And that was one of the things that really drew me to what it is that you're doing. Now, the question you talked about why you started it in the pandemic. So let me just say, uh, look, my hat's off to you, because a lot of people, you hear a lot of people say, "Oh, the pandemic, it did this and that," but again, it's that mindset too. And it was an opportunity, and clearly you saw it. You and your wife took it and said, "Hey, we can do this." And to me, I'm like, kudos to you. I'm like, all right then.
Yeah, it certainly wasn't easy with the pandemic, but again, we didn't create the circumstances. At the time that the country was shutting down, my
Mhm.
state was already in the process of ramping up to open up for applications, and the two just kind of collided. And so,
Wow.
we were preparing to enter the space, regardless. And so the pandemic didn't slow us down in that regard, but it certainly, it's been a rocky road, but we're happy to be here still.
Right. And any business startup, I can attest to that. You're going to have the highs, the lows, the in between. But the thing is just keep at it. And what you're doing, I say keep at it. So let's kind of level set a little bit, because one of the questions, and I've got a little chart up here I want to show the viewers when we're talking about this difference between CBD and THC, because that's going to be important as we get into talking about hemp hearts. So I'm going to put this up here, and just a snippet about it. What are your thoughts? Because people think that um, you know the probably hemp hearts is got all this stuff in it that's going to make me really high. So
Absolutely. Yeah, this is certainly a great question in terms of the difference between CBD versus THC.
hmm
And it's a great conversation to have. But there's also even other nuances that I hope people will go back and research as well. Before you
hmm
even get down to this level of the CBD and THC, you
hmm
have, understanding the difference between the medical marijuana programs, the adult use programs, and the
hmm
industrial hemp programs. And so
hmm
that's kind of like the regulatory framework that goes into it. But all of it is cannabis. All of it is
yes.
cannabis.
Okay.
And CBD and THC are two of, say, 100 plus compounds that are found in the plant. Okay.
hmm
And so CBD, has a lot of the medicinal benefits that we associate with the cannabis plant when we talk about, relief from anxiety and inflammation and all of those other things. Some of what was shown on that, that slide.
hmm
And THC, we most, commonly associate with that psychoactive, that euphoric feeling
yes,
that you get from the
yes.
plant, right?
hmm
So those two are different compounds, but you also have, like I said, hundreds of other compounds. You have, CBN, you have CBG, you have THCV, you have
yes.
so many of these other compounds, and you have terpenes. Another part of the compounds that you find, the terpenes. The best way to describe those, most people are familiar with essential oils. So if I said to you lavender, that would ring a bell to you. Well, the
Right.
cannabis plant contains, you know, different variations of terpenes, and those terpenes also have effects as well. So just like lavender will have a calming effect, you know,
Mm-hmm.
the same thing would happen with the terpenes in the plant. So each compound has a different purpose. You want to get, you know, for to get maximum benefit, you want to be able to get some of everything. But you know, the way that this plant is grown now, there are different ratios that come out
Mm-hmm.
in the way
Mm-hmm.
that the different strains are bred. So you may have higher amounts of THC and lower amounts of CBD, or vice versa. You know, and again,
Right.
that comes through the way that the plant has been bred, and you know, through genetics and so on.
Hmm. And I think it's really important that people pay attention when they go into these dispensaries to be aware of the amount of CBD or THC that's in there. And I can just speak. Personally, for pain that I was having after a total knee, and someone said, "Oh, you can go there and get this," and the thing was there was a lot of THC, and for me it was like, oh, I can't do
Right.
that. So it's really
It triggers
important.
anxiety for some people, and
Yes.
that is very true. And again, that's why, you know, you do have to, as I say, you have to form a relationship with this plant, right?
Hmm.
And
Hmm.
that means you have to try different types of products to figure out what works for you, because the two people can have the same plant and have different effects on it. And so you have to
Absolutely.
have a relationship. And then when it comes to, you know, everything we just been talking about, difference between CBD and THC, all of that is really and truly when we're talking about the part of the plant that we're using to extract medicines, or we're
Hmm.
using to, you know, for lack of a better way of saying it, roll up into a joint and smoke it, right?
Right.
But
Right.
that's that side of it. But the
Right.
whole, you know, there's an entire other side of the plant as well. And that's why I go back to what I said, my comment in regards to understanding the different regulatory frameworks, right? It's
Yes.
important to understand all of it is cannabis, whether
Hmm.
it's the kind that gets you high or doesn't get you high. It's all, you know, the cannabis plant, but there are different strains that produce different qualities of that plant, right?
Hmm.
So, from a framework standpoint, most people understand the medical marijuana side of things, right? You can go get a medical marijuana card, go into, you know, work with your doctor, you go into a dispensary, you get products.
Hmm.
Most people even understand the adult use, or, you know, the unpopular term is recreational, right?
Okay.
I'm a consenting adult. Just like if I can go into a liquor store and buy a bottle of liquor, I can go and buy cannabis and use that responsibly.
Right.
But the other side of this is the hemp side, okay? Industrial hemp, which
Hmm.
for you know, all intents and purposes, is the only part that is legal at the federal level, okay?
Mm.
So both medical marijuana and adult use are still illegal at the federal level, but they're legal at the state level, okay? And industrial hemp is both legal at the federal level and at the state level. And when we talk about industrial hemp, that's when we get into a larger conversation about CBD. And, you know, again, the medicinal parts, the medicines that we can grow. But if you look at the hemp side of things, there are three purposes for growing hemp. That's the CBD, which we've talked about. But then you also have the fiber. That's when we want to make clothing materials, or we want to make building materials, or we want to do renewable fuels, and so on and so on. And then you have this other bucket, which my company, Hemp and Fork, where we reside, is on the food side. Most people don't realize that the hemp seed itself, the same seed that we use to grow the plant, is a superfood. It has all of the essential amino acids that you need for basic nutrition. It has all of your omega 3s, all of your omega 6s, and so many other things. Fiber, iron, we can go down the list and we can name them off. So the when we're growing it, for whether it be CBD or fiber or grain, it grows differently. The plant produces different things. And so when I grow for the food, my food, that seed has the building blocks of what will create the THC and the CBD and all of those things, but only in trace amounts, because those are only the building blocks of actually what you need to grow that plant. But those things, those different compounds we talk about, grow as a result of stress on the plant, right? And the
Mm,
way that you stress the plant can spike the THC and so on. But the food itself, the seed, just eating the seed, is not something that you can get high off of because it hasn't been converted into all of those compounds.
okay. So, Eric, before we get into anything else, what I'm going to ask you, we're going to take a real quick break here. We've got to still pay the bills. And when we come back, I want you to just, really get into elaborating about what's the difference between hemp hearts and hemp seeds. So you guys don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. I'm here with Mr. Eric Range, who is the owner of Hemp and Ford. We'll be right back.
Before we celebrate the freedom most Americans have, we must fight for the freedom all Americans deserve. Because all lives can't matter until Black lives matter.
Roll over. When you adopt a shelter pet, you discover all the things that make them unique. And your mother. They're a little bit of a lot of things, but they're all pure love.
All right, if you are just tuning in, I have here on the show with me Mr. Eric Range, and we're talking about the beneficial effects of hemp hearts. But we're giving you, he's really level setting and giving you information about, the entire plant. Because look, one of the things is, I love the fact that you said, look, it's all cannabis, right?
It's
And
important for people to realize that
right.
because
Go ahead.
it both helps to level set and people understanding what we're talking about, but it
Hmm.
also, I think, helps to break through that stigma. So when
Yes.
I'm talking about, something somebody can roll up in a joint and smoke and get high off of, I'm
Right.
still talking about the same plant when I talk about that superfood. Like,
Right.
it can't be both that this plant is a demon and a god. Like, you know what I mean? Like, we have to make a choice on where we want to put this. And I
Right.
think it's important that we recognize it as being a plant that was put here for us for many different reasons.
Yeah, I agree. We have a comment that says interesting info, and that's what it's about. That's really and truly what we want to have happen is that people get educated. So before we went to break, one of the questions I had posed to you was to really differentiate between the hemp hearts and hemp seeds, if there is such a thing.
Yeah.
Because at this point, people are probably saying, now I know I've been, the old term was the reefers and the, that marijuana or Mary Jane, and like you said, there's been such a stigma around it, and I have to say, for a lot of Black and brown people getting into this industry and really studying and understanding, it has really just been a win-win. So let's talk a little bit about the hemp hearts, hemp seeds.
Yeah. So
Okay.
it's a nuanced answer that, or as my attorney wife would say, it all depends, right? So hemp seeds are essentially what we use to grow the plant. But again, my company, we focus on making products out of that same hemp seed that you can use to grow the plant. Okay. And the hemp seed itself can be cracked open just like a sunflower seed. And the inside of that is the inner core, what we call a hemp heart. Now, from a marketing and branding standpoint, you will see people market a hemp heart, again, that inside piece, that we can eat. And we can eat the entire shell, but the inside of it is what we call the hemp heart. But people on the market will use hemp seed interchangeably with hemp heart. So, like, if you go into your grocery store and you see a product that says hemp seeds, it's the same thing as a hemp heart. But if they're going to use the whole seed, and there are companies, and we have in our plans to do a roasted whole seed, you will typically see them say whole seed, and you'll typically see, if they use hemp seeds, they'll say dehulled hemp seeds, meaning they took the shell off.
Oh, okay.
So I hope that helps it clear it up. But then there's also different varying qualities of product, right?
Okay.
This was one of the things that really I think separates our brands from a lot of other brands out there.
Hmm.
Most of the hemp hearts that you see out there in your grocery stores come from outside of the U.S. They come from Canada, and
Oh, wow.
is cheap. That's why it comes from Canada, and companies will source it from that from Canada. But we only source our products from U.S. farmers. In fact, we're also in the process of we're a full vertical to where we work with Black farmers here in the state of Florida to be able to grow our products for us as
Hmm.
well. So that's in current development. But while that's in development, we only source from U.S. Farmers. So again, when we think about the environment, which we are environmentally conscious as a company, we want
Right.
to make sure that you're closer to the food that you put on your table. That helps both the environment and it produces a cleaner product for you.
Right.
And then also the way that people clean the product. Some people don't remove as much of the shell, and so
Hmm.
you'll get a product with still bits and pieces of the shell, which again are perfectly fine to eat and contain a lot of nutrition, but from a flavor profile, from a cooking with ease profile,
Right.
but these are all things that we as a company we took into consideration when we sourced our product.
Yeah, and notwithstanding some of those elderly people, and then not so elderly, that with dentures, and if
Exactly.
they're biting down, and it's still in that hole. I mean, that could cause a lot of pain too. So the
Yeah.
fact that you and your company so conscientious about that, that in itself speaks a lot. I love the fact that you are doing business, the growers. How did you say it? From where your food is being grown to your table. It's,
It's important. I mean, and I think again, Hemp and Fork is our forward-facing brand. That
mhm,
my company's name is actually Legacy Farms Group, and we named it that because we feel like we're getting back to our legacy and our birthright, which is farming.
mhm.
We've gotten so far removed from that to where
Yes,
we don't know
yes.
where our food comes from. We're not
Hmm.
close enough to our food, and as a result, if we have to get our fruit from Central America, South America, that food is losing nutrition as it's getting to us. It's
Right.
also, increasing that company's carbon footprint. All of these things matter. And at the very least, it matters, to us, as a company, our three pillars are, healthy eating, healthy living, and healthy environment. And all of those go into our decision-making process.
Yeah. Oh, I love that. Your three pillars, that in itself says so much about your organization. So thank you for talking about that. And I love the fact, like your wife says, the attorney, leave it to an attorney to put it in those words, right? So,
Absolutely.
me, I just want that answer, right? So let's go back, just to back up a little bit. We're talking about hemp hearts and the seeds, and you did a excellent job in explaining that. But one of the things that people are going to ask is, do hemp hearts contain CBD? So,
Or THC. We get that all the
okay,
time. Like
all right,
we get that all the time.
okay,
Um, Let me say it this way for most people as well. Well, let me answer the question outright first. Uh, no, they don't contain anything that would cause you to fail a drug test, spike hot on a drug test, even have a drug test come back inconclusive. You don't have to worry about that when consuming hemp hearts and products derived from the hemp seed itself. So hemp seed oil, hemp protein powders, same concept. All of those again are derived from the hemp seed. Now, what I will also say is that to give you another layer of how our product is different from CBD products and so on. In the state of Florida, if you are selling any type of product that contains CBD extract, which is again that CBD, THC, CBN, all any of those other cannabinoid extracts, you are required to have what's called a hemp food establishment permit. Okay, to do anything with those extracts. My product, we're not required to have that because my product isn't deemed a cannabinoid extract. So we are considered, even at the federal level, to be a safe product for human consumption. And so we don't face the same. While we get lumped into everything else that deals with the hemp plant and so on. And again, I you remember I said it is all cannabis. our product is very much in a completely different category.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. So glad to hear you really expound on that, because that becomes one of the things that people actually, will ask. And that means that they are not going to worry about getting high from eating hemp hearts, right?
Not at all. Not at all. By eating hemp hearts, all you are going to be doing is adding nutrition to your
Right.
daily diet, and I think that is something we can all use to stand to do a little bit better at, right?
Right, right. And that's a great lead into, because you talked about the fact, I know that when I was posting, some people wrote me back and asked me about the drug test. If they would, if, as you say, if they would show up hot in the drug test. And it's like, that's a new term for me. So I'm like, oh, okay. I'm just like, you pee in that bottle and guess what? You didn't pass. So that's the thing. But thank you for talking about that. And the fact of, in terms of consuming, now I was on the show and you had one chef that says that he uses 3 tablespoons of hemp hearts a day in his food. And it was funny because one of the things I wanted to talk about is the beneficial effects. And he was saying that, you know, the doc wanted to put him on high blood pressure medicine, right? And he was like, first of all, when he just started incorporating, and if you think about 3 tablespoons, that's not a whole lot.
Nah.
And he put it in a smoothie. It was just ground up and in a smoothie. So one of the questions that I have for you is, how long have you been incorporating hemp hearts into your daily regimen?
To be quite honest, and I've known about hemp hearts for a long time, but it wasn't until my company really got going as you know, um, mid year last year, 2020, is when I started to say, okay, like I tell people all the time, I need to deepen my relationship with this plant and even expand my consumption habits, around the plant, because I have consumed products that contain THC, CBD, and the whole nine. But at the time, I was still relatively new to consuming products like hemp seed oil and hemp hearts and hemp protein powders. But since we started, I've been, daily. I won't say I get up to the 3 tablespoons every single day, but I
Hmm.
definitely consume hemp hearts. My entire family does. We go through a lot of hemp hearts, all the way down to the 18-month-old. He drinks hemp milk instead of formula.
Hmm.
And it's something that we as a family has decided, to instead of using dairy-based formulas, to use hemp-based milks. So yeah.
Yeah, which so many people, especially Black people, are lactose intolerant. So to
Yeah,
know that
this is
there's an
non-dairy, not no allergens, no it's non-soy, no preservatives in it, and you can make the hemp milk within minutes at your own home using a blender, and you don't have to go out and purchase products that have been sitting on a shelf that have been
right.
designed with preservatives to be able to sit on that shelf longer.
Hmm.
We make hemp milk probably every 2 to 3 days, and we consume it with our cereal and other products. So yeah, it's important that we get closer to where our products are made.
Right, right. That's so key. And since we're on, this vein talking about food, one of the things that I did pull off, I have some of the recipes to show. Let's see.
Oh yeah, the mac
Yeah,
and cheese.
yeah. So uh, hold on a second.
You That
Oh,
going, I'll talk a little bit about the mac and cheese.
oh,
That was
okay.
from our Thanksgiving edition of our virtual cooking show that we do, just to kind of
Hmm.
show people how to incorporate it into their diet. And that was, a really good recipe to show as well, because it was a non, like, most people think when you try to eat healthier that you have to go plant based, or you have to go vegan, or you have to do these special diets and so on.
Hmm.
And this
Hmm.
was a Thanksgiving staple, right? That mac and cheese is a Thanksgiving staple. It wasn't vegan, it wasn't plant based, but
Right.
all we did was add the hemp hearts in different ways, and we added nutrition to a meal that lacked, any, real nutrition. So, for us, it's not just about, changing your diet completely. We think you'll get there over time. But
Yeah.
if you can just add more nutrition daily, again, who can't stand to benefit from that?
Right. This was another. Okay, I guess my screen does
Won't
not want
let
to
you show the
cooperate. Yeah,
that's
it
the
won't let me
Jamaican
show.
cornmeal
Right,
porridge.
wait a minute. There, let's see
There
if
we
we
go.
can
That
get
one was
it.
a good one.
All right. So I'm like, all right, let's see if we can get this one going. Um, okay,
Jamaican
Eric.
cornmeal porridge right
Yeah,
there.
very,
And
very nice.
that's a nod to my wife's culture. I married a Jamaican, so I'm Jamaican
Oh, okay.
by marriage, and so yeah, again, simple ways that we've incorporated it into our own personal diet is to eat the same things we love to eat.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes it's just a matter of sprinkling a tablespoon on top of whatever that is. Other times, you can incorporate it deeper into the cooking, but really and truly, the beautiful thing about the hemp hearts is that you can eat it raw. You can put it in your smoothies. You can put it on your salads. You can bake with it. You can do so many, different things with it. So it gives you so many options, and really and truly, that don't have to be outside of your normal wheelhouse.
Yeah. And then there's a recipe. People can go to hemp. Uh, I think that's your website down there
Yeah.
because you had a cheesecake.
That was a vegan cheesecake that was
No
absolutely
way.
delicious. We've done vegan ice cream before, and we're working to get more recipes on the website. We're
Hmm.
going to be working to do. We get tremendous amount of requests for, a hemp heart cookbook. So look for that. Some in the coming months and so on. But yeah,
Okay.
and then we love to see how other people are pushing the envelope with our product too. So we're
Okay.
working right now to build something where people can submit their recipes and pictures and stuff to our
Nice.
website and so on. Yeah.
Nice. That's
So yeah,
nice.
we love good recipes. We like to eat good food.
Yeah, and there's also the cilantro and the hemp pesto. There's the
Delicious.
vegan chickpea and hemp. I was like, oh my God, I was salivating just looking at all of these different recipes that you can do with hemp seed. So that in itself just speaks to there's so many different things that you can do in the variety, and I love the fact that you're talking about people being able to share recipes. So for me, I'm like, okay, that's all good. That's really and
Yeah.
truly all good.
Yeah.
I
And see,
like that.
I do all of the cooking at my house. So for me, one of the most difficult things is to figure out what are we cooking tonight? Like, what are we going to eat tonight? What am I feeding everybody? So
Okay.
I'll be honest, the recipe thing was a little bit selfish. That was kind of like, I want y'all to tell me what I need to cook tonight. So
Well, I think that for me, I'm just like, because, I mean, meal planning every day when you've got to come up with something, but to know that you've got alternatives and you can do so many different things. I'm very, very appreciative of that. I was like, you go. That's what I'm talking about for sure. So, all right. So thank you, Eric, for that. So let's talk about how can people get hemp hearts.
yeah, so you can go to our website, hempandfork.com, which has been up on the screen, and you can definitely check that out. We actually have a Father's Day special that's still going on. Shout out to all of the fathers out there. Happy belated Father's Day to you all. And you can use the code. I'm trying to think of it right off the top of my head. Give it to me. Give me a second, and it'll come. Oh, Father's Day 20. That's what it is. Type in Father's Day 20 in the coupon, and you'll get 20% off of our hemp hearts. They are available again right now on the website. And then we do have an affiliate program, so we have a few affiliates out there who have links, and you can get it through their affiliate links as well. And we love to support our affiliates who are spreading the word about our brand and about our products.
Oh man, I love it. I'm thinking so. Again, Eric, what's the code for people to be able to get this special?
It's Father's Day
Father's
20.
Father's
Father's
Day
Day
20.
20. And that will go through June 30th because June 30th is my birthday. And I'm like, you know what? I'm a father. So we're just going to extend it from Father's Day to my birthday. That code will work for you guys. So go on to hempandfork.com,
There you
use the
go.
code Father's Day 20, and
Yeah.
you'll get you 20% off.
Oh my goodness. Well, yeah, why not celebrate? I celebrate the whole month of my birthday. So,
Exactly.
why not? Who says I only have to have a day, right?
Yeah,
So
yeah.
that's great. Eric, I don't know if you happen to have a bag of the hip hearts around, but we're going to take a quick break. And if not, don't worry about it.
I
We'll
can grab one. I can grab one
Oh,
really quick. Yeah.
okay. Well, we're going to take a quick break. And when we come back, first of all, we'd like to show the viewers what the hemp heart looks like, how it's packaged. We've already told them how they can get it. And we're going to come back and delve a little bit more into the benefits as it relates, especially for men. Since you got this Father's Day special still running, let's talk about how it's going to help some men, right? So you guys don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
Testing. Why did the girl ask the mushroom to dance? Because he was a fun guy.
Okay, Dad. 1, 2, 3.
You saved me.
Dad?
Are you okay?
I'm fine, dear.
Your hero needs you now, and AARP is here to help. Find the care guides you need at aarp.org/caregiving.
Thank you for watching the You Didn't Get the Memo show with your inspirational host, Gloria Bailey Ray. It's your contributions that make this happen. To become a sponsor, send an email to youdidn'tgetthememo@gmail. That's the letter U, didn't get the memo. If you're not in a space to be a sponsor, but you like what you hear, we simply ask that you support what you like by making a contribution to the show. There are 3 ways to make an online donation. Visit paypal.me/Gloria Bailey Ray or Cash App or Venmo, Gloria Bailey Ray. Give what you can. Your support is appreciated.
All right. If you guys are just tuning in, I'm just telling you, you have just missed so far a fantastic discussion with the owner and CEO of Hemp and Fork, Mr. Eric Range, out of Florida, Orlando, Florida. Did I get that right?
That's right. Yep.
Yeah, Orlando. And so before we went to break, one of the things is that I asked Eric if he would show to the viewers what the packaging looks like for the hemp hearts. And I mean, you see it right there. In fact, Eric. So it's only, what is it, 60 or 70 calories, Eric, in the hemp hearts?
170 calories.
170 calories. So we're talking about low in terms of caloric intake, but let's just tell all the dads, the daddies, the fathers about the beneficial effects. You start out with saying it's a great source of protein, right? And you did talk about all of the omega fatty acids and all the other fats, but also it's rich in vitamin E and fiber. And y'all know why you need fiber, right? Hopefully everybody knows
That's
why they
right.
need fiber in their diet. So,
You
but
know, Miss Gloria, that was one of the things I had a doctor tell me who is a cannabis doctor. So she does research on the endocannabinoid system, and actually they've expanded that to be an endocannabinoid ohm because there's a network of systems working together in there. And she said, she made a comment that was so profound to me. She was like, if there were an end of world scenario and there were one food source that I would want to have access to, it'd be the hemp seeds and the hemp hearts. Because as you said, or as I said earlier, they are literally the very building blocks of like nutrition. That's why it's called a superfood, because it allows you to even absorb and process other foods that you may
Hmm.
consume and digest. This is why, again, we're not encouraging people to, go plant-based or vegan right off bat, but to
Right, right.
incorporate this, it will begin to help your gut biome. They say all the time that your gut is your second brain, right?
Oh my
It is
gosh, yes, it
so
is.
vital to our health that what we put in our bodies is so important. And so, you mentioned the fact that it has vitamin E and so on. So we know what vitamin E does for our skin, and with us
Hmm.
as melanin, rich people, we need that
We need
vitamin
it.
E, right?
Yes,
Um,
yes.
we talk about heart health, and you talk about heart disease in the African American community,
Mm.
hypertension, and all of these things that really and truly disproportionately impact our communities. It stems from what we're eating and what we're putting in our bodies. And so this is really important. And I'll tell you, and I don't share this, I think this actually might be the first time I've shared this publicly, my own
Okay.
personal journey with this. I'm going to be talking more about my own personal journey with the plant, and again, how I've changed even my own consumption patterns and so on, incorporating things like hemp hearts and hemp seed oil and so on. But over the last, say, 8 months, I've lost 30 pounds. I kid you not. I've lost 30 pounds. And I wish I can attribute it to being more active and being in somebody's gym, but it really is not the case. And it has everything to do with my diet. And that has been the primary thing that I've changed over the last 7 to 8 months. And one of the key staples in that diet right now are my hemp seeds. And again, I don't say that just to try to promote the product itself, but just to talk about why I am so passionate about this,
Hmm.
because again, it is a part of my own personal journey as well.
Yeah. Well, we have a question and a comment. One of the questions is, are your products available to ship to all U.S. states?
Yes, our hemp hearts are. We do have another product out, all natural frozen fruit bar that is
Hmm.
infused with CBD. And right now, we're not
I was
shipping those
saving that
across
for
the country.
last. I
Yes.
was saving that for last, Eric. You just
Yeah.
blew that one.
Oh,
Okay.
I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to jump
No,
the
it's,
gun,
it's
but
okay.
so not all of our products are, but the hemp hearts are. Yes, we do ship
Yeah.
them to all 50 states, and we're actually working. If you're in Puerto Rico, we're actually working with a company now in Puerto Rico that are going to be distributing them down there as well. So yeah, we are definitely able to ship them all over all 50 states.
Yeah, and one of the viewers had a comment just said, "I need some now," and now it's all caps. And look, and I was like, "Look, can I get 2 or 3 bags, right?"
Yeah.
Because the piece that you talk about, and even listening to the chefs. And by the way, viewers, we're going to have Chef Matt on the show in a few weeks, and he's going to be doing some cooking demonstrations with Hip Hearts and how he's pulling all of that together, and that's going to make a big difference. So but I think that what you're saying, it makes a lot of sense. It makes an awful lot of sense. And when people, we talk about, remember the fiber and your gut, that second brain. And so many people, they don't pay attention and they don't understand why they're complaining. They just got a crappy attitude. Their bellies are all big. And, again, because, and especially in those areas where we have a lot of food deserts in California, at least especially in Oaktown, in the area, and you're trying to correct that, but also encouraging people. I don't care if I got a pot or a pail or a bucket. I'm throwing plants in it, and I'm growing a lot of my food. So I just think that it's important that people hear that. And I can say, now, look, I'm going out here. I'm just going to say, from the time I met you, the one thing that I felt was about you was like, you stand in your truth. You're authentic. And your thing is, you realize that, yeah, a lot of people are running around selling and saying a lot of things, but all you have is your word, and you're building a company, you're building an organization. And it's not about, trying to just get sales to go through the roof. So
Yeah.
to hear you share that, I first of all, I appreciate you sharing that. And I was already convinced with the chefs that were on a previous show. I was like, I've got to get hemp hearts. So,
Yeah,
I really
and can I
appreciate you
say
saying
something
that.
else, Ms. Gloria?
Sure,
You
absolutely.
mentioned our food deserts. Again, our company is very intentional. Every from the very start of how we formed, and the pillars we created, and one of our pillars is a healthy environment. When we
Hmm.
look across this globe, there's food insecurity across the globe. But when I look at our communities, in particular, Black and Brown communities, and the food deserts and the food insecurity that we have, I absolutely believe that hemp hearts and hemp foods are a part of that discussion. Not only does it, is it a renewable food source, but as we're growing it, we're cleaning the soil, we're cleaning the air, and then we're turning around and we're healing our bodies with it as well. And I think that's something that we can definitely benefit from in our community. So we have actually partnered with a nonprofit food bank, and at the end of the year, we'll be making donations to them when they're doing their Thanksgiving and holiday food drives as well. So we are intentional, and we select partners that are going to be serving the communities that we feel. Let's be frank about it. The communities we come from, that I come from, and we want to make sure that we're doing our part to be a solution to the problems in our community.
Yeah, absolutely, Eric. I really appreciate you saying that, and you guys are hearing all of these benefits. Hemp, excellent source of energy. I just keep going down the list. It's rich in calcium and iron, rich in sodium and sulfur, potassium, phosphorus, and hemp seeds. May aid in the digestion process. And so, we're so busy putting all the processed foods and stuff into our bodies. And like you said, when you're not in touch with Mother Nature and the things that are out there, we can always find an excuse for everything, right? But at the end of the day, like I said, I don't care if it's a bucket or a pail or a jar or, I'm always sticking a seed growing, doing
Hmm.
something,
Yeah.
and that to me is really key. But to hear you say that and to hear you have such you are so in tune to what is needed in our community that this is just great. We have a comment, awesome contribution to the health and wellness of our Black and Brown community, and also yes, our plants sustainability. And that's literally where it's at. That's what it comes down to. And I think that is so critical. So thank you for sharing that. And y'all, again, Mr. Eric got a special going on. Father's Day, was it Father's Day
Father's
20?
Day 20. Yep.
Is the
Father's Day
code.
20.
And so take
That's it.
advantage of it. You can go to
Yeah.
Hemp and Fort, and guys just purchase the product. So, Eric, I want to ask you this. What do you want people who are watching the show today? What do you want them to take away about us talking about hemp heart, hemp seed, and, the beneficial effects on our body?
Yeah, I mean, I think the biggest takeaway, in my opinion, is that if I learned anything from starting a company during the pandemic, is that we have to do a much better job of taking care of ourselves. Health has to reclaim the number one priority in our lives. And again, this is something that I'm working to practice in my own life as well. But we have to be much more deliberate about our health needs and how do we serve those. And I'll be honest, I think our modern healthcare system isn't serving us as best that it can. And so to me, that means that we have to look at how have we as a people, how have our ancestors, how have we turned to nature to heal ourselves? And we've done that through eating the plants, through using herbs and other plants in our healing and so on. And so, again, I think it's our birthright to be farmers and be so much closer to our food. And I hope that you guys will take that away, that taking something as simple as a hemp heart, which is literally one step removed from nature, and making something like your own hemp milk, where again now your milk source, you're so much closer to it than you were before. Those little changes in our habits, I think, are going to mean the difference between whether or not our life expectancy as a human race uh, continues to increase, or it starts to decline.
Mm, absolutely, Eric. And you guys, I just want to again underscore that you can go to hempandfork.com, for information. Please follow Eric and his company. There's Facebook.
Hmm.
He's at Facebook at Hemp and Fork. Also, he's on Instagram at Hemp and Fork. So again, my goal is to present you, the viewers, with information that's informational, transformational, educational, um, and hopefully people will take from this. So, you guys,
Yeah.
if
and,
yeah,
and and I hope you guys will get involved with some of our. We're not just selling products. We're building a community. That's why we have things like the virtual show. We'll have other things like community days where we do cleanups again, because community cleanups and stuff like that, because we do believe in being a good steward and being a part of
hmm
the solution.
hmm
But we're also going to be doing things like 3 tablespoons a day for 7 days. A challenge, challenging you
awesome.
all to get off the sidelines, and to really get in the driver's seat for your own health, and doing
Yes,
things like that. So we hope that you guys will really join the community, and not just purchase our products, but add value to the community, and
right.
participate in it. So it
Yeah.
has definitely been a pleasure, and I'm super excited for you having me.
Yeah. So don't go anywhere, Eric. I want to say to all of you, first of all, let me thank my guest, Mr. Eric Range, for being on the show today. Hey, be sure and check out Hemp and Fork for the website for recipes, information, products. Follow him. And like he said, when it's up and running, you submit those recipes that you've tried it with as well. Here's a gentle reminder to all of you. Please support our efforts by inquiring about our sponsorship packages, our opportunities, or if you'd like to be a supporter so that we can continue to bring this type of program and these types of guests. Look, this is the real deal. This is what we're about, to keep you informed. And you can do that by making a donation of any amount. You guys, every little bit help. I want you to also be sure and follow me on all my social media platforms. Mark your calendars for every Tuesday, you guys, 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, every Tuesday, no matter what. Join me and all of my dynamic guests. So heads up, coming up on June 29th, that's next Tuesday, I will have in the house Dr. Nola Lawrence, and she's going to be discussing, get this, growing and cultivating adaptive relationships. I mean, that's going to be a dope discussion in itself right there. And then kicking off the month of July, the first Tuesday in July, July 6th, I'm going to have the dynamic Mr. Jasper Smith. He's going to be discussing disrupting generational poverty, and he's going to be talking about those GoFundMe accounts. So be sure and lock in every Tuesday, you guys, 5 o'clock, to watch the show. And by the way, you can still go back and look at the show after it's over. So, go back, look at it, share it, look at it again, whether you're on YouTube or whether you're on Facebook. Help us sister out, okay? Let's do this. Again, I want to give a quick shout out to all my new viewers. You guys just keep growing. You want to send me an email, you can send it to you didn't get the memo, like what you see up there without the apostrophe. You didn't get the memo at gmail.com. And I am always grateful to hear from you. So thank you so very much. As I always say, if you didn't take anything away from today's show, then it's you who didn't get the memo. Until this time next week, guys, I want you to have a great week. Give thanks for all your blessings. Stay safe, be kind, and always pay it forward. Remember this, the quality of your life is determined by the decisions that you make. Peace and blessing, y'all. I'm out.